Look at those words. What if I had signed for Linfield? Linfield is a soccer team in Northern Ireland. I'd like to tell you a little story, but look at those words one more time. What if I had of signed for Linfield? All right, you can come to me. The other evening I was sitting at home and went into the living room where my wife Maureen was, and we started to watch a concert of well-known people, if I can remember their names. Willie Nelson, Jennings, I think was one of them, Johnny Cash, and Chris Christopherson. Apparently this concert was conducted many, many years ago, and PBS was using it for a fundraiser. And I sat and listened to a few of the songs, and they were terrific. I really smiled when Johnny Cash sang A Boy Named Sue, and Willie Nelson, On the Road Again. And then, of course, Chris Christopherson, he sang Why Me, Lord? So it was enjoyable, and the crowd was going nuts. And then they sang something about Sunday. As far as I remember, too, they called the four of them the Highwaymen on the program. But they sang something about Sunday. I can't remember the words, but it must have moved me emotionally, or something happened. And suddenly, sitting there, I had something happen to me that terrified me, horrified me. This is true. It only lasted for 30 seconds, maybe a minute. But I just was terrified and horrified. Whatever they sang touched this in my being. And I wept, my eyes filled up with tears. And the words came to me, what if I had of signed for Linfield? What's the story behind that? Well, when I was about 15 or 16 in Belfast, Ireland, I was chosen as the only boy out of, I think it was 600 all-boys school. And I was chosen to go play for Linfield. Soccer was in my blood. And I could rhyme you off names in that team of mine who were not chosen, who became Irish international players. And the sports master, Mr. Little, came to me one day and told me he had it all fixed up. I just had to go up to Windsor Park and sign for Linfield. And it suddenly came to me, watching Chris Christopherson and Johnny Cash and those guys, because of what they sang, something touched me. It suddenly came to me, the horror, had I done that very thing and signed for Linfield. What do you mean, Leslie? What did the teacher tell you? He told me I'd be famous, I'd be popular, and I remember him distinctly saying, you'll never want for money as long as you live. And then I thought, what if I'd have done that? Obviously I wouldn't have married Maureen, wouldn't have had the wonderful children I have, or the grandchildren, wouldn't have had this ministry, wouldn't have been here in Tarpon Springs obeying God, wouldn't have had this wonderful tabernacle, wouldn't have had all these friends. Look what I would have missed. Look what I would have missed if it had gone my own way, or that door that opened. There is a way that seemeth right, says the Scriptures, unto a man, but the end thereof are the ways of death. That's what it says in the book of Proverbs. There is a way that seemeth right. What could seem more right than being the only boy chosen out of hundreds of boys? And you know, almost every country in the world is kind of soccer crazy, much more than in America. And I was to go to Linfield. That's the top team in the whole country. With the possibility, nobody knows if this would have happened, but with the possibility of going on to the world-famous Glasgow Rangers. And I was terrified as I thought. Looking back in my life, I would have missed my wife, I'd have missed my children, I'd have missed my grandchildren, missed my ministry. Where would I be now? Perhaps living as an old man in Glasgow, Scotland, maybe a sports writer or not, regretting that I'd made the wrong decision. Don't live with regrets. Just know this, that God's way is the best way. And I'm pleased to tell you that just after that, I'd been saved when I was 11, on my 11th birthday, but just after that, episode regarding Linfield, I surrendered my whole life and being to my Heavenly Father. And I'm pleased to tell you that in all these years, I've never so much as lifted a fingernail off the altar. I belong to Him. He belongs to me, not for the years of time alone, but for eternity. Thank God. Thank God. Thank God I didn't sign for Linfield. And I'll see you next time. God bless you.